ultimately, if you want to build a strong security culture, you have to accept that human error is inevitable. And if you accept that human error is inevitable, and this is what will build the culture, we have to then say, what next? What happens when somebody makes a mistake? Because if you go overly punitive, if you go, come in boots first and really start, well, the first time you click on a phishing link, you have to take extra training, and the second time it gets escalated to your manager, and the third time it gets escalated to HR. And James and I both know companies in the US where, and the fourth time you get fired. What sort of culture is that? Because it is a culture. That's a decision that's been made by that organization. But think about what that culture is.
One of the worst cases of this that I've seen, and actually I've seen it in a couple of cases, a couple of different companies that have done it, both in typically large financials, so they're in the financial sector, where the first time somebody clicks, they get a kind of a piece of training or a warning, and normally that's not even that friendly. It's normally quite a harsh, kind of harshly worded warning, and the second time that you fall for it, your internet access is cut. And it's cut for a predetermined period of time, usually till you've completed some more training, or it could be a week, or it could be 2 weeks. And I've seen that in a couple of organizations. And the impact, if you think of what the impact is to that individual, especially if they were in your position, John, where they've just started a new role in a new company, where they're most likely to be both targeted, which we'll come back to in a second, but most likely to fall for a fish when they first started that org. That's horrendous, because you're now like saying, well, you can't do your job for a week or 2 weeks. And by the way, if that impacts your ability to do your job, tough, we're going to kick you out. It's just incredibly, incredibly harsh. It's a horrible way to run any kind of phishing program or any kind of just general awareness program. It's a terrible, terrible message to send.
And I think, one of the things that really strikes me, and we're going to probably talk about phishing for quite a while, because I think it's the sort of behavior change that almost every organization wants to take part in. But two, it tends to be one of the more common ones. It's the easiest to measure and so on.